Hey, brothers and sisters. Will Keller here, doing another late night live stream. I'm excited for this. It's hot as hell in California. We're hitting a little heat wave, and I'm excited to hop on here and have a discussion with y'all. So, as the title states, I really want to get into three concepts that we're going to connect: why the world feels off, why good people support broken systems, and also the missing spiritual lens or worldview that explains and connects all of this, right? So it is the norm now that people feel something is terribly wrong. There's so much contradicting information out there, and we're going to dive into this, why that is happening, causal factors, and I'm always trying to direct my content and work to people that aren't familiar with this information and might be new to my work itself. So my website is willkeller.com, and I appreciate you all and your time and attention. Make sure I'm coming in loud and clear. Yeah, if you're in the chat, go ahead and it is off. Aquarian Light, good to see you. Just give me a yes if the audio is coming in clear and you guys can hear me all right. Yes, absolutely. And we're going to get into some of these categories, right? I call it information deprivation because doesn't matter what camp you are in, there's a whole echo chamber just for you. This is what social media and now the new AI control structure does. It curtails worldviews for eyes, ears, senses, your perception, right? The most valuable, influential tool to the social engineers and the parasite class, right? This is what they want to do. That's how they control people, by influencing the way they see the world, the way they think the world operates and functions. This keeps people completely in the realm of effects and not focused down to the root of the problem, the heart of the matter, or the causal factors itself. So we're going to get into that. Glad to see someone joining. Welcome. Real quick, a little bit of housekeeping. I'm going to be joining Sam Cheney on Weaponized News this Friday, March 20th. And this is a live show. Sam goes live every, I think, 7 days a week, 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern. And Sam's great host. Let me get the banner off there. He's a great host. I've been on his show several times, actually. And he does talk about current events. He understands a lot of the information and the causal factors that I discuss in my work. So if you're interested, that'll be a live show. You can go to weaponizednews.com and get to all his social media links, or join us on YouTube. We're trying to drive some traffic there so he can get some subscribers on there. He's been through multiple YouTube channels, right? No surprise. And we're going to be discussing the Iran war, day 21, DOJ, Epstein files cover up, day 49, and of course the season of sacrifice, which I covered extensively in my last live show. And of course, if you are new to my work, I absolutely focus on the moral factors, the metaphysical components and attributes to nature, to the self, to consciousness, which everything is derived from, and natural law being the governing dynamics of reality itself. So until we understand that, until we understand objective morality and natural law, we can never achieve freedom, because that is the governing dynamics to create change, to create a condition that we say we want, such as freedom. So, and then, we'll be touching on some occultism and some of the esoteric characteristics of some of the current events that are going on today in the modern age. Absolutely. Aquarian light. More morality and consciousness factors are everything. Yes. That is the 0 point. That is the source. I always have the caveat in the beginning of my presentations to kind of set the foundation of what are we, human beings? What is our nature? And where is our place in the universe, in the cosmology of the planet itself, right? So obviously, as individuals, we are having a subjective experience, but in an objective reality. Very hard for people to grasp and very hard for people to actually explore and discover, right? Because the ego does not like objectivity. It is pure subjective, but it does not like blanket statements whatsoever. So yes, one reality, one universe, one song, and it has principles and laws, meaning immutable, non-man-made, unchanging, governing dynamics or conditions that us as human beings absolutely are in effect, right? We talk about physics and the physical laws, thermodynamics, gravitation. Yeah, it's common sense. There's certain things that you know not to do. Don't touch a ground wire. Don't touch a hot stove. Don't put your hand in a flame. Don't fall off a cliff and expect to not be harmed, right? So those are the physical laws that the majority of people understand. And as, young souls and young children, we are experimenting and getting to know those physical laws as we grow and learn how to walk, etc., right? But yet the layer underneath is absolutely metaphysical. It is energetic and consciousness at its root. And this is the metaphysical realm. Not separate. They're one and the same, two sides of the same coin, of course. And when we talk about the metaphysical and the physical, we're separating them for just to express and explain them, right? Because description is not explanation. So we need to use language, of course, to grasp and understanding. Now, what we do with that knowledge is extremely important. So that subjective experience, the individuation and the individuality that we all have, that's ours individually, is our perception and our individual experience. But yet we are not absolved of the consequences of our free will choices, right? And especially in this one reality, objective reality, interconnected with everything, right? Of course, what we do in this reality matters, and it has an influence, even the smallest level to a grand macrocosm aggregate level itself. So when I say freedom, I am talking about an effect of a cause. That cause is understanding how to act in the world correctly, i.e., morally, right? We are not initiating harm upon others. And compounding those individuals that act morally and just, that creates an effect. And that effect absolutely will lead us to a state of freedom, a state of no external government. That doesn't mean cooperation, right? As human beings, we're always going to interact with each other and cooperate and build systems and organize, but not a control system with a monopoly of violence and force and duress and coercion. That's what government, external government, is in itself. And all it is a belief system. It's the belief that certain human beings have more rights than others, and they can issue commands, and all the other slaves need to obey them, and if we don't, we will absolutely be violated. So that's a little intro, setting the groundwork and the foundation when I kind of use certain terms. But in this episode, trying to appeal to a wider genre of individuals, I would say. So pull up my notes here. Oops. How's everyone doing? If you guys let me know where you're tuning in from. I like going late in California, Pacific time, US. It's kind of prime time for other countries. So let me know where you're at. I'd appreciate it. Gather up my analytics. So let's frame the problem with currently in the world, right? Some of the effects, there's the subjective experience where depression, anxiety, confusion is through the roof. I talked to some people recently that were hardcore truth seekers that I know in my personal life, and they've completely given up. They're like, we don't care. Plugging back in. We just all we want to do is focus on ourselves, be happy, ignore shit. And I get that sentiment, right? I get that. There's so much bullshit out there. But also that is the reason they feel that is what I was stating with the information deprivation, right? It's so much information. What is accurate, what is true. And folks, guess what? We are quickly approaching, and we are there in this stage. But I would say in the next 1 to 2 years, AI is going to be able to generate video that's going to be extremely difficult to delineate if it is real or not. I mean, we're there already just by observing social media and seeing all the fake slop brain rot videos that people are posting. And I mean, like, videos are just like a silly dog or, a bear jumped through someone's window and stole their pancakes. And people are sharing these videos as if it's real, I mean, and of course, videos of war and other, psyops and all kinds of stuff, right? They're sharing these fake videos thinking it's real. And that's because they are so reactive. They see it, it triggers an emotion they have to share, right? So there's this public validation and dopamine by sharing something, a novelty that they like to do. Those are bad signs. Even on the kind of the brain rot normie type videos, seeing so many people, or like a new season of Game of Thrones is coming out and it's got thousands upon thousands of shares and likes and comments and people just buying it. What does that tell us? Just on that level, it tells us that people, their perception is not firing at a level of discernment, a general discernment, right? They are ignorant, extremely ignorant of the level of technology where we're at in this day and age. And they are also just reactive, right? That's what the ego wants to just feel the goodness all the time. So they're just posting, sharing, etc. But instead of the social engineers trying to fake really extravagant scenarios, they've been doing these little fake videos of have almost been a testing ground and a conditioning kind of network to almost gauge where the populace is and to get them kind of numb to real or fake videos. So rapidly approaching very hard perceptibility. It's going to be very difficult. But yet, what I'm going to talk about today, right, is absolutely objective. And it doesn't matter about the videos out there. These principles can be applied to everything, and it will always get down to the causal level, right? Regardless of certain aspects. So, yes, information overload, then a lack of understanding, disconnection from truth itself. What is truth, the self and nature? These big questions, this is getting to like the philosophical category that I like to explore and propagate, right? What's the meaning of life? What is a human being? What's the nature of humanity, etc.? These are questions that at its fundamental level can absolutely be known 100% and be utilized for good and for self-development. Now, does that mean the totality of the inner workings of consciousness or nature? No, that doesn't. But it's not, this existence is not here for us to not comprehend or understand or interact with. Of course it is. Of course it is there to learn and educate. This is a university, 100%. Let me put this on here. There we go. Get the live chat going. What's up, Nick? Mixta. Excellent. And I think I will, because usually I just kind of rant for a long time. I got my notes, but I'm going to stop often and check the chat. So if you guys got questions or statements, go ahead and put them in there, and we'll get these up. My brother Nick says perception management by delegated validation of what's real. Doesn't matter if it's alternative media or AI. External validation for arriving at objective truth. That's right. 100%. So I think some of these categories that I'm going to talk about today are going to be extremely useful and almost whet the appetite of viewers. Some people might be very familiar with this. Great. Others, it might resonate. You can go check out more videos or my presentations and dive deeper into. So we are not lacking information, right? The truth is out there. It is discoverable. We can learn the causal factors, the information of how to discover objective truth and to discover the actual problem of what is going on in the world. Absolutely, we can do that. Having an accurate perception, right? The lens by which you view the world is critical to understanding a solution, right? Because the solution is always within a correct diagnosis of the problem itself. Diagnosis means by way of knowledge. That's exactly what diagnosis means. So when we have an accurate understanding of what is going on, the solution unveils itself 100%. So why all the distractions, and why aren't more people talking about some of these key points that I'm going to get into? And number one is, of course, the occult realm itself, right? Let's define our terms right off the bat. The word occult comes from oculus, which means eye, and also occultare, which means to hide from. And it simply means hidden knowledge. That's it. Of course, mainstream media, culture, religions have invested a lot of time and attention to demonize, to obfuscate what the occult is. And that's for good reason, because in the occult lies the information and the process to discover and develop the self, human consciousness, how the psyche works, how the body works, all of that, and also how nature operates itself on the metaphysical and the physical planes. So obviously the two most important and vital bodies of categories of information are reality and the self, right? And how they correlate. So this is why this body of information is so important. Now, of course, this information, it's just info. The question is, what is it being used for? When someone comes into the awareness of how the human psyche works, are you going to use that to do good, influence good, and educate people? Or are you going to use that to manipulate and control people, right? As human beings, we interact with each other, so everything influences everything. The question is, what is the condition? What is being done? What are the means and what are the ends, right? That's very important. Yes, I'm an influencer. I'm a content creator, but I'm not making fucking dog and cat videos. I'm not pranking my little brother. I'm not doing none of that shit. I'm talking about hard truth and activating towards a solution to end slavery on the planet. Very different. Very different when you understand the condition of information that is being propagated and talked about. So now, the occult nature, these three categories, I'm going to go through them, and then after that, I'm going to tie them all together. And I think it's going to be a beautiful tapestry on how these three interlock and, you know, create a pyramid. So we'll get into the occult a little bit more, right? And I think the issue, why people need to understand the occult, like understand the information, not just know what certain occultists, what they stood for, or what certain traditions were about, or just empirical data on occult traditions or occultists. We need to understand what the information means. The levels of consciousness, the realms of reality. We need to understand, what does that mean? Because if we don't understand the meaning, then it's not applicable, meaning it's not useful for individuals. One of the most common things that I get from people that, you know, dive into the occult and they're reading old texts, doctrines, you know, Israel Regardie, Manly P. Hall, Crowley, Dion Fortune, like going through all of these people. These works are written, they're ancient. Some of them several hundreds years old, some thousands, some 50 years old, some 100 years old, etc. But it's written in a time where the language and the age was different. So there's a lack of connecting the dots. Occultists, most of the well-known occultists, there's a purist mentality of keeping the information and the meaning of the occult hidden. They feel like if an individual has not done the very prime initiatory work of understanding that objective truth exists and has proven to themselves at a certain level that they are ready to step onto the path of real self-development, right? Then they should not walk the path of occult knowledge, of the occult science, arts and sciences. I am not of that opinion. There are still many people that take that purist mindset that the occult should remain hidden. I am a de-occultist. The arts and science of nature and the mind need to be common sense. They need to be understood correctly. They need to be applied to the world and educate the public on what it means. This is what a light occultist is. They de-occult the information. They bring the light to the world, right? Keeping this information hidden is a dark occultist, right? You are veiling the knowledge. You are veiling the light. So you are embodying the black sun, right? And sure, there's many different gradients from there, right? You can call them gray occultists, etc. There's sorcery, there's magic, there's all of these terms, but what do they mean? This is the realm that we need to get into. And this is why it is so important to educate and explain. And my motto, simplify the profound. So we need to understand that the occult is not good or bad. It is vital. It is important to understand. Why? Because nature itself is the occult. Because nature is hidden. She is pure mystery, but ready to be discovered. As human beings, we incarnate into this life. There's no handbook or doctrine from creation, from the creator, from the universe, from nature itself. It is just you, your faculties interact. And of course, as human beings, we are imbued with logic and reason. These are the tools. And through experimentation and time and attention and care, we can come to learn some of these great secrets. This is what the occultists did. They knew that nature was the supreme authority, knew that objective reality, objective truth is always based in nature, and all profound and useful information is derived from nature itself. Just research a lot of the great minds, Nikola Tesla, Schauberger, Wilhelm Reich, all of these people that have been occulted, hidden, taken out, murdered, bankrupt. Their technologies have been stolen. They've always observed nature and saw how nature operated and functioned. Then they duplicated that, right? That's because when you observe and you come to know how nature operates on any which said level, right? You are coming into the awareness of natural law, the objective, immutable principles that govern our reality and ourselves. So, very profound knowledge. Now, where does the issue come in? Well, I did state an issue. More people need to understand the occult, and more people need to teach the occult in a modern sense, but also need to have that correct worldview, right, of what's going on and apply it to the world. Like, how can the information of the occult help us end slavery and achieve freedom? It absolutely can, and it must be communicated correctly. Now, the social engineers, they know this information extremely well. They absolutely know the occult and what that does, and they wield it as a weapon. This information and knowledge gap creates a power vacuum. It creates a power differential. Social engineers understand how reality operates and how to manifest and generate a condition on the planet in reality. And the majority of people do not understand that. They do not understand themselves, their own psyche, or natural law, the governing dynamics of how reality operates. So it is child's play for the social engineers to manipulate and influence individuals, right? This is the difference between real magic and sorcery. Magic itself is the art and science to influence change in the world. Sorcery is the science to influence control and coercion over others to generate a condition in the world, right? So, yes, and I have people talked about sorcery, the word source, divinity. Sure, that's fine, right? We can't get hung up on the words. We need to understand definitions are very important, but comprehension is more important. Meaning, if I say a word and you say a word, but we are essentially talking about the same thing, we both need to understand that and come to an agreement. Now we both comprehend and we are both in an alignment on the topic, right? So communication is important. Comprehension is key, 100%. What's up, Wyatt? Good seeing you, brother. Mega thanks for your research, work, presentation today, Will. You mentioned Manly P. Hall. Today is his birthday. The initiates of the flame. Thank you, MPH. Manly Palmer Hall from Phoenix, Arizona. Wyatt, thank you so much. And you know what? I didn't even realize it is Manly P. Hall's birthday today. So that's fantastic. 3/8. It's the 18th here in the U.S. There we go. Manly P. Hall is a great de-occultist. He's a great primer. Highly recommend if people are not familiar with occult knowledge. He's a great person to start. 100%. And yeah, so thanks for that comment, Wyatt. I wish I could bring the Instagram comments over here. Manly P. Hall is the legend. Yeah, he's fantastic. His work is incredible. So why the occult, and I see it so often, even truthers and alternative media and black pillars, they're so hung up on the occult being one thing, evil, bad. That is Christian programming just stacked onto people and other cultural religions as well, but primarily Christian, right? The Abrahamic religions. And, we see like the all-seeing eye I have on the image on the plaque behind me. They see that. Oh my gosh. Oh, Freemasonry this, Freemasonry that. It's like, oh man, you're so on the exoteric, the outer ring, meaning you're a newbie. You're uninitiated. You don't know what you are talking about if you think, if you are making blanket statements like Freemasonry is bad, Rosicrucian is bad, Thelema is bad. Incorrect. There are schools and traditions and categories of information. Some people have used that information for bad shit. Some people have used it for good, right? If we're talking, clarify, you talking about the lodge system? That's a good old boys club. Doesn't mean shit. Doesn't mean shit. Maybe back in the 1700s and 16 and 1500s, the influencers of that day, the social engineers of that day, absolutely were in that type of club, right? But the lodge system nowadays is absolutely shite, right? It has transitioned. We need to modernize and get up to speed where things are at. The social engineers are absolutely an dark occult class, also highly advanced in their technology. 100%. So my point being, if you are scared of information, if information triggers fear or close-mindedness in oneself, then you are under mind control. 100%. If you will say, "Oh, I know what that is. I'm not going to look into it." It's bad. It's all Freemasonry is bad. All Rosicrucian or Hermeticism is bad. You are under mind control. And this is why the cultural religions have set up this type of worldview and limiter of consciousness in place. These are traps and snares, pitfalls for people to act just like that, to keep them closed up on the body of the art and science of the occult, of occultism. Because natural law, real metaphysics, and true philosophy lie in occultism, the study of nature and its laws, the study of the self and its potentialities and its nature, human nature, the psyche, the soul, how we manifest, truly manifest in the world, not new age shit, not Rhonda Byrd's the Secret, none of that. How we truly influence and manifest. So we talked about the lack of understanding of occultism creates a power gap, right? They also use that information to shape people's worldview, their perception. Now let me clarify. Let me clarify on a word that I used. I said they shape. You need to understand that individuals are doing it to themselves. This condition of slavery on the planet, it is self-induced by individuals. The social engineers influence. They put pieces on the board, right? And put certain information out there. They do certain events to create a feeling, to create a sentiment, to create information that people take in, and then they make the choice and they act upon that information, right? It's as simple as a protest, right? Creating a protest, paying some people to go protest, some actors to go protest at an event, and then post it on social media. It gets a whole bunch of traction and it creates a divide. It creates a dialectic, divide and conquer. And all you did was just pay some people to go out and protest at a certain event, right? And you created a scene, a dialectical scene of two camps of individuals where conflict or other actions can be implemented. They do this on a global level, and they have been doing this. This is nothing new. But it's important to understand that they are influencers. They are advanced psychologists, and their main goal is perception itself. All right, let's move into. So why good people support broken systems. We might get a little spicy on this one. Sorry, I'm still got some allergies, still congested a little bit. So read between the lines, y'all. The subliminal messages. Some good tea. Some good tea. All right. So this is going to be the emotional and psychological core, right? We need to understand why good people support broken systems. I'm saying that and wrapping quotes around it because the majority of people in the world, they think they are good people. They think they are moral if they even use that word. They're more likely to use the word good, right? They think they are good people without actually ever having that care or attention or being philosophically minded to look at oneself deeply and ask those questions. Am I a good person? Now, even by doing that without the information of the occult or how the self or natural law operates, you still can be skewed. This is the whole point of mind control. Mind control works when you don't think you're under mind control. That's how it works, right? So the majority of people, they do think they are good people. I'll give you a good example. A lot of people defend police officers. Well, I know my neighbor's a police officer. I know a police officer. He's a really nice guy. They donate to charity. They help the community out. He is nice. Completely oblivious to natural law, the governing dynamics of reality. Understanding that we're not talking about personalities, it's principles that matter, and it is action and the choices that are being performed in the world and in interaction with others. That is the judging factor. You judge someone upon their deeds, not what they say or their intentions, right? It's the actions, because the act ion is what creates a condition in the world. Your actions and behaviors is how you interact with other people. This is why the voice is so important, because the voice is right on that border. It's the bridge of being metaphysical and then also physical, because we are using force to project and make sound. There's a physical component to it, but we're also using the mind and the heart to say what we are thinking and how we are feeling, right? So yes, the voice, sure, words can hurt emotionally, but that's based upon one's own internal environment. The actions that one performs in the world is what adds to the pot of the condition, whether it be your household, your community, your neighborhood, or the world itself. So when we look at the horrific condition of either genocide or war, right? There are many people who are the people that are actually creating the behaviors and actions. It's, of course, the military, the order followers, right? They are the ones that are dropping the bombs, pulling the triggers, moving into a village or a house or whatever it may be. And the people that contributed to that. It might not be just one person. It might be multiple people. The person that flew the helicopter of soldiers over to the drop-off point, right? But the moral culpability obviously is a gradient. If someone drove me to someone's house and I got out and pulled the trigger, I am morally culpable. It's fucked up. The other person drove me knowing what I was going to do, etc. But I'm the one that pulled the trigger. This is metaphorical, of course. So I am absolutely morally culpable. This is what mind control is. And this is what using occult knowledge gets you. It gets you hundreds of thousands and millions of people ready to take certain actions and behaviors, all because of magic, fictitious words, patriotism. My superior officer told me to. I was commanded. I'm doing my duty. I'm following orders. Go down the lists, all that shit. You are breaking principles, and by your deeds, you are a bad person, right? We need to look at it from the moral aspect, because morality is all about the actions you are taking, right? Right or wrong. So, and again, it's not just the military, right? It's the medical, educational, etc. A doctor that is injecting needlecraft into kids is just a fucking bad person. Simple, right? Now, do they know it or not? Are they ignorant? Are they under mind control? Do they think it is good? They are doing good, right? These are all things that are absolutely in an effect. And this is why education of causal factors need to be more amplified, 100%. Appreciate y'all. All right, let me get back to my outline. I write these outlines and I just go on tangents. I mean, if you guys dig it, you guys dig it. That's cool. Let me see. Let me see what else we got here. Okay, I talked about delegated morality, right? Now, morality, this category is the most important category of all information. And it really is that category that everyone needs to be talking about. Not just talking about it, explaining it and educating it. When I educating people on what morality actually is, there's so much bullshit out there and incorrect worldviews on what morality is. And one of the main obfuscations is, of course, cultural religions. That's because cultural religions are based upon human authority. They are the arbiters of truth. So they use that word morality, and they use it from the context that they have authority in what is moral or not. Let's define this right here and now. What is morality? Morality comes from moralis, the etymology. It means the definitive difference between right action and wrong action. That's the simple definition, right? If there is a difference between right and wrong, then obviously there's a definitive distinction. And absolutely, their objective morality exists. There is a objective standard upon interactions with individuals. What is a right? A right is any action or behavior that does not initiate harm upon another sentient being. Okay? So I have whole presentations diving into morality and right and wrong, but real quick, to sum this definitional section up, what is a wrongdoing? Understanding the wrongdoings is way easier than listing all the rights, because there's an infinite a number of actions and behaviors that you can perform that do not initiate harm upon another, right? Wrongdoings are any action or behavior that does initiate harm upon another sentient being. Murder, assault, rape, trespass, theft, coercion, and deception. Did I say murder? Murder, of course, obviously, right? So it's a taking of something that does not belong to you, whether it be a taking of life, a taking of free will, sexual association, the taking of knowledge, right? As in deception, the taking of property. It all comes down to property. And anything that is taking that which is not yours is a wrongdoing. So this category is the causal factor that people need to understand and people need to be talking about, because from there, once you have that understanding, then you understand that the belief in human authority is absolute bullshit, is a complete cult, C-U-L-T, religious, fictitious, illegitimate, and immoral ideology or religion that the majority of people believe in, right? So once you get to that understanding, government, external government goes out the window. The Constitution, all that shit goes right out the window. Because you cannot give what you yourself do not have. And if you can't give special rights to other people, the government can't claim these special rights to even claim to make that claim of ownership upon your persons, your property, your life. So once more individuals understand that, now we're in a real paradigm shift, right? A paradigm shift is when whole worldviews shift in a large population of people, and then action, and then people act upon that worldview. There was an actual shift. So what does that mean? That means there is a qualitative factor of quality. Remember, this is in large groups of individuals. The qualitative factor is the understanding of objective morality, natural law. That is high core causal factor quality information. And then there's a quantitative factor. Quantitative, quantum, means amount. How many? The amount of people that have this information is important, meaning numbers matter. The more people understand objective morality and natural law, the more the effect reverberates and compounds and expands and influences others. And that totality creates the human condition on the planet. That's ultimately how we get to freedom. And that's also how we are at slavery right now, right? The qualitative factor is that people are completely ignorant and subscribe to government and religions that think they can make a claim of ownership onto others. So they violate them. We have violence, control, and duress. And the majority of people believe in it and support it and act within it. And The quantitative aspect is it's the majority of people on the planet believe that shit. So the effect or the human condition on the planet is slavery. It's that simple, folks. It really is that simple. That's because nature operates simply. Everything in nature is ratios, proportions, and pressure mediation. That's it. You can go back to my pi and phi video that I did a couple live shows ago, and you can understand in more of an analytical left brain sense of what I was just kind of speaking on. I explored it more, right? That is natural law as well. There's many ways to explain natural law. There's many principles of natural law. But when it comes to generating a condition on the planet, it always starts at human interaction and human behavior. Now, it starts there at behavior and action for the generation of a condition. But of course, going into the metaphysical, we get into the psychological aspects itself on the subjective experience of the individual. This would be real internal shadow work. So let's see. Hope you guys are finding value in this random live show tonight. Just wrote up some notes. Maybe it was Manly P. Hall kind of influencing me from the ethers. Okay. So now we're getting into the psychological realm, which when you understand the science of natural law, you understand the first and prime principle is mentalism. The all is mind, the universe is mental, right? And when I say mind, I mean consciousness itself, not just the vessel, as in the vessel of mind. I mean consciousness. Everything is derived from the mind first. All actions and behaviors, like I said earlier, all actions and behaviors that you take in your life are dictated and influenced by the information that you hold. The worldview that you have come to understand on how you are, how the world is, how you believe the world, the state of the world, and how it functions. All of that information is data by which you crunch, process, also feel, and then you choose actions, or you are triggered to take a certain action or behavior, right? I'll clarify those last two statements. Absolutely, we have free will, true, real free will. Animals, of course, have a will, meaning they do, to a certain extent, make choices on their own on actions and behaviors, but it is not free will. Animals live 100% to their nature. They are in harmony with natural law. They're in harmony with nature, right? Because they are living up to what they really are and is instinctual creatures. That's the level that they operate on. Human beings, sure, we have that survival attribute, we have the instinctual attribute, but we have the free higher level cognitive function, right? That we need to be operating from. But when someone is under mind control, are they really making that choice? Or were they influenced and triggered, and then it became instinctual or automatic? Because that's how an animal operates, right? If you kick a dog, that dog is going to have a certain reaction. I'm not saying do that. I love dogs and all animals, but I'm just saying you do something to an animal, it has almost a pre-programmed response to it. A lot of humans operate like that. They see something on social media, they see an event, and they instantly, instinctually operate and function a certain way. So free will is always available, but it must be actualized, meaning you must act upon that. And of course, there's a whole method of coming to know yourself at a deeper level, and a method to understand truth and understand what is actually occurring. And of course, that is the Trivium method of truth discovery, grammar, logic, rhetoric. I do have a presentation that I'm going to do fairly soon. It's called Learn How to Think, and I'm going to dive deep into that. But there's many other functions as well. The point being is looking at oneself with an honest eye and having that self-respect to look at oneself. That's where you're going to shine the light onto the subconscious and unconscious realms to discover if you are acting under mind control or if you truly are making your free will choice. This is the other section where the realm of occultism and the knowledge of morality and natural law come into play. Because when you understand those categories, now you are functioning. Your awareness reveals more choices, and those choices are potentially aligned with truth, right? You know, if you understand objective morality, then you understand government is slavery, and you can make the conscious choice not to condone and support government, right? So that information of objective morality and natural law created a paradigm shift in oneself because awareness reveals choice. And that information could be the freeing component that breaks the mental chains off an individual, where they might have once been under mind control. I vote red. I vote blue. You gotta vote. We have to vote. If you don't vote, then you can't complain. All those kind of MK Ultra programmed responses, right? Which reminds me, I got am I coming in hot on my mic? I got a new piece of tech. Let's check this out. I'm going to use a different microphone, and you guys tell me how it sounds. The key to what I am talking about, hopefully the volume is sounding good. I picked up a payphone, and it's supposed to sound like a payphone, and I'm just really curious if it does. If it sounds like an old rotary phone, because I'm just really feeling my age lately, and that's cool. I'll take that. That's fine. But I'm so used to this, writing, chopping it up for hours. I miss this. So I decided to get one. And this is supposed to be a really good, high quality one. A lot of musicians use it, but I'm going to use it to talk shit and to speak truth. Let me know how it sounds. Appreciate it. All right. So hopefully that had a cool telephone effect on it. Okay, so moving on. So we talked about mind control and that many people nowadays are in a state of internal confusion. And this, just because you call yourself a truther or you think you are black pilled or whatever label one holds, right? You could still have internal confusion. That's why I do judge people if they understand objective morality and natural law. If you're a public influencer or from the alternative media and you're not talking about morality, natural law, the belief in government is immoral and illegitimate, you are not getting down to the causal factors and you are at a level of controlled opposition. You might not be an agent, but where your level of consciousness is and your awareness is, you're not adding to the solution. You don't have a correct diagnosis. We are trying to influence individuals to look within themselves and get them to abandon their slave mentality. That's what we are trying to do. So yeah, judging people on their actions and behaviors. I'm not talking about like petty preferences. You know, you like certain type of ice cream or whatever personal preferences, that's fine. But your actions and behaviors out in the external world, absolutely, for sure. Right? You got to have discernment and judgment. Nick says he likes it. You like the phone? Right on. Payphone sounds. What's up, coach? It definitely sounds like a payphone. I like. All right, cool, man. That's what I wanted to do. I'm gonna have some fun with that and try to get creative. That is great. Let's see. There we go. Didn't even see these. So yeah. So most people, including truthers and alternative media, are still in that state of internal confusion. And when you are in a state of internal confusion, you absolutely seek external control. Either you are being the controller or you are subscribing and condoning to some type of external control. And that could be a ideology, a group of people identifying with a set of people, etc. And all that comes down to is that a morally confused population is easy to control and enslave 100% because they don't have that causal factor. They don't have that prime attribute that dictates quality of a human being, right? Like I talked about the qualitative factor and then the quantitative factor, the quantity. They have a whole bunch of people in that internally and morally confused state. So a lot of ignorance, a lot of fear, and a lot of convenience. 100%, right? A lot of people choosing safety and their own echo chamber and their own bubble versus taking action, putting themselves out there, going public, talking about certain topics, right? Now, we'll move on to the next section. And then after this section, I'm going to kind of tie it in together, and probably close it on out because it's getting late. Late for me. I'm having a great time. I'm having a good time. It's hot as hell still. So, what's the missing piece? The missing piece is a category and a topic that I talk about extensively in my work, and I demystify it, and I'm going to continue talking about this. And this is all about, we've had themes going in this live show, right? About perception and worldview and how that is very important, right? For making choices in the world and leading to a condition, the human condition. So the modern worldview, one aspect of the modern worldview, is very much based in separation. We could see that all of the religions take this view, and the governments, and that is man versus nature. Human beings are above nature, have dominion over nature, separate from nature. This is very obvious. We could see this. Cultural religions talk about it even within their own doctrines, right? And government shows that 100%. So human separated from nature, also mind separated from matter, right? There's many people are materialists. Even the new age kind of sector that really is all about consciousness and dives into there. Well, the whole quantum level is just an extension of materialism because it's all about particles at the subatomic level, but that's based in materialism, matter, and relativism, right? That's totally excluding nature and natural law itself. And then, of course, humans think they are the apex of creation. The majority of human beings do not understand that nature is the authority. Creation is the authority. We are not separate. We are a part of it, right? But just as we all live and we are all living right now, nature takes us in the end. Death is guaranteed for us all, right? Natural law. We cannot bypass the metaphysical and the physical laws of nature. They are put there by creation, and it is our goal to align our perception with natural law. So this worldview with those aspects is heavily rooted in the Abrahamic religions, heavily rooted in materialism, the belief in human authority, with human beings being the apex. And this category that I'm going to dive into is, of course, animism, being the missing piece. And we're going to talk about why that is, right? First, if we're going to talk about animism, we have to define it. If you guys hear cats in the background, I got the neighborhood cats. My window's open. They're going crazy. Animism, the word, means animated, from the Latin anima, which also means soul, energy, life force, breath, spirit. These are all words that anima means. Anima, animated, comes from anima. Animal, right? Being with a soul. All of these come from anima. It means the animated principle, it means creation. So when we understand that animism is a worldview that can be embodied, first learned, understood, and the worldview, when it is applied, now we are viewing the world from the level of natural law, consciousness, energy, responsibility, and participation, and interconnectedness, all kinds of words, right? Because observation, understanding that we are having a subjective experience in an objective reality, and we can observe and come to understand and know nature, that's the whole basis of animism, right then and there. Right then and there. Understanding that everything is alive in nature. Nothing is dead. Understanding it's creative and there's an intelligence in nature. This is all part of having that worldview of understanding natural law more proficiently. When you remove relationship from reality, you destroy understanding. Let me say that again. When you remove relationship from reality, you destroy understanding. Animism is all about understanding relationships, that nature, this existence, this reality is based upon relationships itself. The relationship that you have with yourself, with your community, with your home, with your animals, with your car, with moral principles, with the problem of the world, with the trees, with your garden, with the mountains, with the sky, with the earth. Everything has a relationship component to it, a relational aspect to it. And we can come to understand the condition of those relationships. What's the relationship that I have with my house? Is it dirty? Is it clean? Am I fixing it up? Am I taking good care of it? Okay. If I'm not, then obviously the condition is shitty. But I can come to understand that there are problems within my house. Then I can come to understand the solution to fix those problems. So understanding the relationship leads to knowledge and understanding of that condition. And this is the whole basis of what animism is. Now, animism and paganism are synonymous. Yes, there is a key difference. Animism, well, first, I've already defined animism. Let's define paganism. Paganism is simply country dweller. That's what the etymology, that's what the definition is. It means country dweller. And now, if we were to put that in a modern sense, it means a naturalist, someone that likes nature, natural stuff, right? That's what it would be in this modern connotation. Now, the Abrahamic religions, primarily Christianity, they used that word as a descriptive word for people that would not subscribe to the Abrahamic religion. So they gave them a derogatory word or a descriptive word as pagan. Now, the key difference is that animism is a worldview. It's how you perceive the world. Paganism is how you act within it, right? This is why there is no one book. There are no books in paganism or animism. Every culture is different. Every practice is different. That's because every relationship has different aspects. My practice of functioning and operating in the world or in my house, in my garden, right, is slightly different than from other people. But yet, animism ties the principles in. This is why we can see across all time and locations, We can see these indigenous cultures, they are pagans and they are animists. They have different belief systems and different mythologies, but once you understand the mythologies, they're all saying the same thing. That's animism. That's because they understand the forces of nature. They understand the objective principles of nature. That the sun, moon, stars, the earth have certain energetic attributes and components. They also all understood that we are here to participate in life. Life is active itself. It is not passive. Just like understanding natural law and objective morality is not good enough. You are part of the problem if you think you can just know it and not act on it. We are here. You are here to understand what is going on in the world. You are here to understand the problem and the solution and then act on that shit. That is purpose. The meaning of why we are here is to end slavery. Our purpose is to take action against it towards the solution. Animism, understanding animism, can not only deepen our relationship with ourselves and come to know ourselves on a deeper level, on all levels, we can also come into symbiosis, into harmony with our relationships in the world, with the earth itself, with morality, with each other, right? Because there is no opting out of life like that. You could think opting out is committing suicide. Wrong. Yeah, you might have ejected on the physical vessel. You're still going to have to deal with those consequences, right? But my point being is that being passive and choosing safety and comfort and just being by myself and I'm just going to do my thing, that's not going to cut it. Nature doesn't allow that. You're still going to reap the consequences. Animism is responsibility and awareness. And of course, morality emerges from our relationships, right? Not government, not legislation, not policy, not code. Fuck all that. It's true gnosis and wisdom, knowledge applied. This is what animism is. Action, accountability. You cannot understand natural law if you think you are separate from nature. You cannot think you are a good moral person if you do not understand natural law and how to create a harmonious relationship. Right? Just like the police officers and the military order followers, you cannot be a good person if you are in that role because you think you are a good person, but you are holding the ignorance of morality and it shows in your behavior. So your relationship is shite, right? You are violating others. You are creating a transgression. You're committing a cosmic crime. So when people lose this perception or are ignorant of this worldview or this perception, everything starts to break down, right? We just had just a day ago, right, was St. Patrick's Day. St. Patrick's Day, right? St. Patrick drove all the snakes out of Ireland, right? That's obviously a metaphor. There's no snakes in Ireland. The snakes are the shamans, the druids, the Celtic people, right? In that area where the Catholic Church created genocide and ran all the animistic, all the pagans out. Cultural religion has been doing that, has been committing genocide for a very long time. There's a reason why the social engineers of that day wanted to sever the perception and worldview of animism. Because if you have that world, that perception, you are aligned with nature. And if you are aligned with nature, you understand your place in the world. You understand relationships. You understand that you have a responsibility and that life is proactive and that you interact with others. Right? So they carried a profound depth of knowledge and wisdom of the natural world and the forces within it. And if you were trying to take over the world, you need to sever that. So that was a long process of them doing that. And that's what St. Patrick's Day is really about. That's right. Oh, the Holy Warship. What's up, brother? Good seeing you. Animism and the occult are prehistoric. That is OG. 100%. Absolutely. His story. His being the social engineers, the religion, the government of that day. That was the slow march to totalitarianism. Started thousands of years ago, and it was committing genocide on the wisdom keepers, the movers, the animistic people. But we can come to understand what this means in the modern day, right? When I say that word animism, a lot of people think, oh, you're thinking primitive. No, animism is just a perception of understanding, observation, experimentation, interaction, responsibility, and coming to develop your relationship with the forces of nature. That's what animism is. Natural law. So we need to understand that separation leads to confusion, and confusion leads to control. And of course, once you have control, you have real chaos. And that's what we're in right now, right? We're in actual real chaos. But it's chaos to our perception and to the events, 100%. What I'm saying is natural law is real natural order. Natural law works perfectly at all times. So we are generating this condition because of our choices, right? And that is by law. So yeah, we are generating the chaos and the suffering. So some of the key points before we wrap it up, bringing it all together, which I have been doing it for the last few section. Appreciate you guys. So we need to understand that the world itself, it feels like it is broken, but it is operating very much how it is being chosen, right? Our perception is broken. Natural law, meaning the governing dynamics that generate the consequence for our choices, is working perfectly, right? We are generating the condition of the aggregate species choice. So let me know how you guys feel about these topics. Let me know if you resonated with this. And it really comes down to, folks, is with all, we talked about information deprivation, internal confusion, animism. It comes down to clarity. There's fucking a million podcasts where they're all fixated on current events and they all have their opinions, etc., etc. Hardly anyone is getting down to the moral, metaphysical, and philosophical aspects of why we are in this condition. This is what is important. And that's because so many people love to go deep. They want to go deeper and deeper into down the rabbit hole, but no one wants to have clarity on the hole that we are in. And Nikola Tesla said that too. That's a quote that when he was talking about the scientists of his day, he was saying, yeah, they all think deeply, but none of them think and see clearly. He was referring to actually understanding natural law, how it really works, having that clarity. Because when you have that clarity, then of course your perception is crystal clear, high definition. The actual definition of the word definition means clarity of meaning, and then you understand what it all means. So this is why it is important to get down to the causal factors of morality, our relationships, our responsibility within nature itself, right? And then, of course, act upon what we have come to understand. And this is how we add, we add more energy and more volume to the voice of justice, the voice of morality, the voice of truth, and the voice of real freedom and how to end slavery. So let me know what you guys think on tonight's episode. It was totally last minute, and I think it went really well. We talked about a lot of good topics. Consider these topics, and I hope you guys found value. Let's see. Let's go to the lines here. See if we got any quick questions. What's up, Coach? He says on Instagram, this is why they do not want you to choose land. No land, no observation, no knowledge, no overstanding, no ability to take correct action. Yeah, absolutely. But we can always observe where we are at in nature. But yeah, this is why they don't want people to truly own land. You could buy land, then you got to pay property taxes, and if you don't, they'll come and take that shit by violence, right? It is about severing that connection with nature, because when you do that, you sever connection to reality. Not really, though. It's just your perception gets severed.
then you're controllable. So yeah, good comment. The Matrix phone. That's what Nick said. Yeah, is it coming in clear? Like you guys can understand the words that I'm saying, or is it very distorted? I'll have to go back and watch this live show and do some funny shit with the red phone. So, it's funny. I got the red one because it, like the 80s, the 70s, the 80s, the government, the president would pick up the red phone and go, "Oh, okay, yeah, that's a serious event. Let's do it. Make an executive decision." Which the red phone means seriousness, emergency. And they didn't have blue. So, sounds all good, mate. All right, right on. Well, folks, I think I'm going to end it here. Appreciate y'all, your time and attention. And stay tuned. More live shows coming up. And just a reminder, this will be this coming Friday. So in 2 days for me, maybe a day for others. Going to join Weaponized News. Talk about some good topics. So go ahead and check that out. That'll be live. You go to willkeller.com to check out all my work. Support my work. Any shares, comments, likes, greatly appreciative. You guys have a good evening or a good day. I'll see you next time. Later.